to Paddlecast with Betsy
and Billy. On Paddlecast, we talk to and about paddlers who are pushing the limits, paddlers who are pushing their own limits and pushing the limits of paddle sports.
We are joined now by Philip Bride, a respected voice in the online paddling community who you have probably seen on Instagram or YouTube. He is also a high-level paddler himself. Philip has raced at several World Cup and World Championship events as a junior and under 23 and senior, and also raced a bit of marathon kayak in Denmark. We've just been chatting with Philip about his upcoming under 23 competitions since he's in his last year of under 23. So, Philip, on Saturday, you posted a short video on Instagram about the Planet Canoe paywall. And it has gone, I would say, about as viral as things kind of go in the paddling community, certainly within the sprint canoe community. It is up to more than 100 comments last I checked, including comments from some of the top paddlers in the sport. So we are really looking forward to talking with you about that video today and about the Planet Canoe paywall. So thank you so much for joining us on Paddlecast.
Thank you. I've been so excited to come here and talk with you guys. So, yeah.
So let's talk about this paywall. For anyone who hasn't tried to watch the live stream of last weekend's World Cup in Szeged, or is planning to watch the upcoming live stream for the next World Cup in Poznan this weekend, or any other Planet Canoe live streams recently, they are available on YouTube, but you have to pay a $9.99 fee. I believe it's about the same between euros, dollars, and pounds to become a member and watch the videos live. I am going to confess here that I do this. I pay the fee to watch.
I do not pay for this, and I'm probably in a similar mind as Philip. I'm feeling like I don't want to pay it, and I believe that athletes shouldn't have to pay it. I came to marathon canoeing late, and I used the live streams of the marathon World Cups, Europeans, and World Championships as a real sort of crash course on marathon tactics, and I thought it was hugely helpful in my development as a paddler. It helped me get those marathon tactics. It reinforced what I was hearing from my coach, Tom Daniels, and what I was learning on the water, and I tried to copy it in training. So it also made me a paddling fan, and it probably influenced why I'm here on Paddlecast today. So, Philip, why do you think the ICF's paywall is such a big deal, and what made you post a video?
Well, yeah, the reason it's such a big deal is because it's a small sport, yet people are so passionate about it. People like myself and guys like you, but I know a lot of young paddlers, really passionate young paddlers who train every day before and after school, and paddlers like them and like me don't even really want to pay it and don't do it. So there's a lot of people missing out now because of a paywall, and it's been here for a few years, and it hasn't been well received at any given point in time. We also had the recast area, which was horrible, and everything we talk a lot about this in Denmark, and I know everybody talks about it in most other countries as well. And nobody is positive about it, obviously. And I want to give some, it's hard to organize these big competitions, especially World Cups and World Championships for ICF. And I understand the huge amount of work that goes into it. And when the live streams were free a few years ago, free to watch, I remember finals, there were about 2,000 people-ish watching some of the big finals, and at least a few hundred just watching semis and maybe some smaller finals, which is a good number. And the sport is growing with content creators, and I feel like the paddling stars, both in canoeing and kayaking, are getting bigger. So I see growth. Also this weekend in Szeged, like I see on their social media and other paddlers' social media, and just the competition, it's bigger, it's better than ever. So it's so exciting, but it's behind a paywall. And even the fans of the sport and even the hardcore fans are not really watching it. And I paid to watch it because I have so many friends competing and I love the sport. But I felt horrible. I feel horrible paying. And it is a big deal because I believe that if I don't really want to pay, and I know other paddlers as you, Billy, and other passionate young paddlers are not paying, then it's a bad model long term. And I think I'm convinced it's a devastating model long term.
I remember the recast era very distinctly. And it also was around the time that the ICF started live streaming stand-up paddleboard racing. And so my former colleague, Chris Parker, posted an article on Sup Racer about it. I remember you, Philip, speaking up about it at the time as well. And the only reason that the ICF stopped using Recast was because Recast went bankrupt, which was a bit wild. So I will say I was definitely happier with YouTube than Recast. It was an improvement, but as you say, that paywall is still tough, and particularly for those junior paddlers, it's clear that it makes a huge difference for them. I have noticed that the ICF has been posting, I think, almost all of the races after the fact to watch for free, both on YouTube and social media, and not live. But how much of a difference do you think that live experience makes versus kind of watching it after the fact?
I think it makes a huge difference. At least it does for me. I love watching races live. I have to do it. I can't, even though it's so easy now, especially on YouTube. And I do agree, YouTube is much better than Recast, but still the paywall is not a good option. But even though it's so easy to just, if you have something you gotta do, maybe not prioritize watching a race, I still want to watch it live. It's still a huge deal. It's great that the races are posted after, but come on, everybody you don't want to watch the World Cup in football after the fact. It's something you watch live sport. It is. I also think there are good alternative and solutions to this paywall, but yeah, it has to be live.
Yeah.
It's only live once.
Yeah. But something that's also an issue is a lot of the viewers watching these races are paddlers and family members and close friends. Like, people from the outside watching it is the essential pivot we need to make to grow the sport. And I think it's possible with the high quality ICF competitions are right now, and with the big stars like Olympic champions. And I imagine people from their country want to watch them race after they get a bit of fame from the Olympics and stuff like that. But with a paywall, it's not happening.
I actually think the ICF has done a pretty good job with their social media in that sense, because I know that is one of their stated objectives. They are predominantly reposting content that other creators have made, but they have done it in such a way that they are reaching really huge numbers with things like, shorts and reels across social media. And so it does beg the question, if they are really reaching those new people through social media, how are we then going to convert those new people into fans of watching the sport live if they have to pay for it?
Exactly. It's not going to happen right now, because they are doing I was going to point that out, that I've actually noticed at this World Cup, they have even stepped it up a level more by posting so much content during the competition, and it's great content. I think it's obvious there's some people that know what they're doing. Also, all of that social media work, of course, it's great, and I believe in it. You have to do it as a sports organization in 2025, but converting that into actual fans watching the races live, which is what the sport is all about. But I want to give props, because I think there's a lot of people that just want to hate on ICF, especially now with stuff like Recast and paywall. And among other things, there's also the distances and Olympic distances. But I think this World Cup was so great. I thought it was amazing. And I do believe, as I said, if the live stream was free with the same quality that it was this weekend, I'm certain it would be in the thousands of people watching it. I really do. And that would be amazing. And I know it was kind of stupid of me, but I was thinking about co-streaming the live stream because I also thought it was free. And I was so excited to do that, just chatting with people and co-live streaming. But then I realized you gotta be a member, then I can't co-stream it. It was gonna get taken down. And I also saw that as a huge problem. And also with me, I've kind of, one way I grew my Instagram was by editing kayak races. Now that you have to be a member to do it, I also feel like I kind of don't want to edit the videos when it's members only. It also feels weird. And now I have gone out publicly and said I don't really want to watch the races anymore, only for the fact that you have to pay for it. So yeah, I really hope it changes.
I would have absolutely watched that co-stream.
Yeah, that would have been good.
It's a big thing now to co-stream. And I think that's also an issue because there's so many, it's not only me. I see a lot of accounts on YouTube and Instagram reposting ICF races in edits and memes, and it's free advertising, and it's great advertising. It's like a self-sustaining community that's going to grow by itself when we have the proper environment for it. And the biggest thing is having free access to these competitions.
Well, let's consider some possible alternatives. Maybe I think you said that you had some ideas. I've also seen, I think, some really great ideas in the comments, including from really top level athletes.
Yeah. First of all, as you're saying, having some of the big paddlers like Fernando, Pimenta, Marcus Cooper, Waltz, and other big paddlers have commented, but those are Olympic and world champions and stars of the sport. And it's really great to see that. Obviously, when you go out and speak about an organization, having the top athletes in it, reposting it, and also speaking their mind is really important. But a stream of the quality that was this weekend, and in general with ICF, it cost a lot of money. So obviously it can't just be free. I think ads and commercials in between the races is the best alternative. If it was free to click a link and watch the stream, there would be thousands watching finals. And you could put ads in between the races, and that would give some really decent monetized gain from it. If I was in charge of it, I would probably maybe move it to Twitch TV. You can click a button and start an ad, right? So during those finals, when a final is about to start or after the race, you can click on the ad button, and then you will get the monetized gain. When the race is over, you can put an ad, and people will still be in the stream for the next race. And you can still keep it on YouTube, which I think is the most user-friendly. Yeah, that would be my solution. I have also emailed this to ICF and contacted them on Instagram, and people have reposted it and tagged them in my comments, but it's not like I'm expecting an answer. I just feel like when you speak up about something on social media, you should also send a proper formal mail, because I want the sport to succeed. I want it to grow. I'm not here being like, gee, we don't want to pay. I understand the cost of a competition, but I they need to understand that the sport is not going to grow with this model.
Yeah, it's an interesting point of view.
Yeah, I think it was Marcus Cooper Waltz who also suggested that idea in your comment section. I had not thought about the Twitch idea before. I think that sounds super cool, and that would be really neat to see the ICF again, and also kind of going after a slightly different audience than maybe their typical audience in addition to YouTube. But watching that live stream, they have something like 20 to 30 different sponsor names listed as sponsors of the ICF, but it's only coming up, as sort of general sponsors, not as actual live stream sponsors. My business model is based on sponsorship because I want to keep my content free. And I think, Billy feels the same way about our work on Paddlecast. And the ICF has massive negotiating power to bring in advertisers, unlike some smaller independent news outlets where that's a challenge for us. the ICF has all of these, people who come from major corporate backgrounds with major connections, and they have a huge scale that they are reaching with these event live streams where, I would have to imagine there's plenty of different sponsors who they could go to from not just within the paddling world, but outside the paddling world. And it would be pretty easy to just put those ads in, as you say, between a couple of the biggest finals when they know everyone is watching, and then use that to make the streams free for everyone.
Yeah, it seems like the obvious move. As you're saying, it's that's also the way that all content in general is made nowadays.
Yeah, I like it.
Also, like, I don't know about you guys, and I've also talked with a lot of people around me about it. How much are they making of these memberships? And where are the money being reinvested to? I'm really curious about it. But just in general, how big is it? Is it really worth it? Where are the money being reinvested? I really hope it's being reinvested to another competition. It will be such a shame if it's being cashed in.
Well, it'd be interesting to know how much it costs to put on that live stream. It's a really good live stream, and there's some good footage now. It's not just sort of, I remember, I don't know, we're talking 12 years ago when it was one camera, and you couldn't see who was coming, and then eventually you'd see someone was kayaking towards you.
It's also in Szeged with that live stream. There's like a whole camera truck coming with a big firm, and there's so many cameras and slow motion being captured right after a race. But we can only hope that the money from the stream is then being reinvested to pay those bills or into the next competition or something like that.
One of the ideas that came up in the comments too was about prize money. And I think particularly where kayak and canoe athletes are looking at how the ICF has approached stand-up paddleboarding, they are sitting there wondering, we've been at this for many, many years. Where is our prize money? And I'm very pro prize money. I think it's been hugely beneficial to the stand-up paddleboard racing scene. And the ICF, I think, really only offered it for SUP because it was so standard. And they knew that if they didn't offer it, it was going to be really hard for them to get those top-end racers to race at their events. So it's been great to see that across SUP, and it has just become the standard, but we see it very rarely across canoe kayak. And, I can understand why some of those athletes are looking at something like a paywall that's, maybe it's not generating huge income, but it's generating something, wondering where it's going, especially when they're not getting any prize money.
And I think that's a real issue also, because you got to respect the stars in the sport. Like the big stars are the ones that like make or break these events. And you have to respect them, and you have to reward them if possible, because you're kind of disrespecting their loyalty to this sport. Because the top athletes are so dedicated to this. It's insane. And the reason I'm keep on talking about this is because top athletes that are staying here and then seeing something like a paywall come up without any, like, they're not getting any additional benefit from it is a problem. And I'm sure, I know, because I've also gotten a lot of text from top paddlers that are mad about it. So,
well, I feel like we've examined this pretty well and provided, I would say, some pretty solid recommendations to the ICF. If they'll listen. But fingers crossed. It'll be interesting to see how this one develops. I know that I will be making the most of my subscription to watch the World Cup in Poznan this weekend while I'm still paying for that subscription.
I mean, hopefully the debate can continue and there be some move on it, or an explanation or a move, something to improve it.
It's so awkward when it's not addressed, when a lot of top paddlers and just paddlers in general have tagged Planet Canoe, reposted stories, and my post and me emailing them. Not any response at all. Is so awkward.
Well, last question before we wrap. Philip, what was your highlight from watching the Szeged World Cup?
Only one. I thought this was such a great World Cup in terms of the races. But I gotta say the Danish K2 500. My clubmate Sarah, also Frederikke, sorry, but Sarah and Frederikke on the Olympic K2 500 women's got the silver medal for Denmark. So that was for sure a highlight. And Sarah is a clubmate of mine, and I've been friends with her for many years. So that's amazing. That was, I stood up after I saw that race.
That's incredible. Well, we were just speaking before we hit record about the legacy of Emma Jorgensen since she's retired. So it'll be great to see, who from the Danish athletes wants to kind of take up that mantle as much as they can. So congratulations to your clubmate. Yeah. Very exciting result.
Yeah, really. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Philip. I appreciate you joining, and see you on the water.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Cheers, Philip.
Thank you so much for listening to Paddlecast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, follow, subscribe, share it with your friends, your family. This is your excuse to talk about paddling even more than you already do.